Hello, BookTube. This is Alan here for Friday Reads, and so let's get going. Uh, Outlander by Diane Gabaldon. I'm about 3/4 of the way through this. I should be through with this by this weekend because I work as a security guard, and on Sundays it's rather boring because nobody is there. Well, there are people there cleaning up, and they're maintenance people, but the employees are not there, so I'll be through with this. I'm also reading. I started Chronicle Crisis. Hope you can see this. It's kind of a glare on here. Chronicle Crisis. It's by Alexander Larman. This book, just a moment. I got it from NetGalley, and the publisher sent it to me. Let's see when it comes out here. Okay, the Chronicle Crisis is published on January the 19th. So I'm reading this, and yes, it's about the abdication. Well, let me read it to you here. On December 10th, 1936, King Edward VIII brought a great international drama to a close when he abdicated, renouncing the throne of the United Kingdom for himself and his heirs. The reason he gave when addressing his subjects was that he could not fulfill his duties without the woman he loved, the notorious American divorcee Wallace Simpson by his side. His actions scandalized the establishment, who were desperate to avoid an international embarrassment at a time when war seemed imminent. That the king was supposed to have Nazi sympathies only strengthened their determination that he should be forced off the throne by any means necessary. Alexander Larman's The Chronicle Crisis will treat readers to a nice, new, thrilling view of this legendary story and informed by revelatory archival material never before seen, as well as interviews with many of Edward's and Wallace's closest friends. Larman creates an hour-by-hour, day-by-day suspenseful narrative that brings readers up to the point where the microphone is turned on the king's speaks to his subjects, as well as focusing on King Edward and Miss Simpson. I read the first part of this book, Crown Crisis, and King Edward VIII was called David. That's probably why he's just so confused. Didn't know what he's doing. His father, who was King George the Fifth, his father was acted coldly towards his older son, and wished that the younger son, who was called Bertie, who soon became King George the Sixth, would reign in the place. So King George the Fifth didn't want anything to do with his son, Edward. In fact, didn't show him anything royal duties, the red boxes, which contains official documents, state documents, which the king has to go through and sign and everything else. And also the religious part of it, since the king is the head of the church in the UK. So he acted coldly towards him. So when Edward became king, Edward the Eighth, he didn't know what to do. Basically, he wasn't fit to be king, as the book explains. He also went around with Wallace Simpson, who at that time was married, and Churchill was asked about it, and Churchill said, "Well, uh, King George the Fourth had an affair also." When he was already married, had an affair, so it happens. And so, yeah, and so it points to the growing up, the role models, how the parents acted in the very beginning of the story, and it also points to, because a lot of people have speculated that, oh, it's Wallace Simpson who was a gold digger, at the time? Well, as the book points out, King George the Edward's father, King George V, didn't leave any money for Edward, none whatsoever in his will when he died. He left it all to his son George, who became named Bertie, who became King George VI. So yeah, it's very good so far. It's gotten really good reviews on Goodreads thus far, and it's a very good read. The author does an excellent job in explaining Chronicle Crisis. I'm also reading the Orthodox Christian prayer book. I need to start doing this every morning because I'm very slothful in my readings. It has the morning prayers. This is more of a condensed version than this one is. This is the old Orthodox prayer book. Sometimes I go back and forth with this in the morning prayers because this has more prayers. Prayers to the saints, prayers to Theotokos, and other prayers to guardian angel, and other prayers in it. This one, this one is kind of short. It's only about 6 pages long. You can have. There's also psalms that you can do. 6 psalms which you can go through, but it also has prayers to Christ and prayers, and the end of it, you go through a calendar. It's the day by day readings, the calendar, and the day is the 18th. Says concerning the preciousness of time. One single moment of time is just as precious all the time. That is because the soul is bereft of God on account of sin, can in a single moment attain him. Therefore say to this yourself, how much good can I do this very day, but do nothing about it. This number 2, this day will pass, it will never come again. Number 3, I will have to give an account on this very day. How is it that I'm not worried about this? And this applies to every single moment in my life. Woe to me if I use the precious time for evil. So yes, very, you meditate on these things that you read, and it's very, very good. And I just started this like 2 days ago, and hopefully I won't get slothful in reading this. Also received 2 books in the mail. I thought I'd show those here because it's under 10 minutes. The first one is Journey from St. Petersburg to Moscow. This is by Alexander Reads Dec. Let me read the back of it to you. Alexander Reads Dec was born in 1749 to a minor noble family. Began writing verse and prose in the 1780s. In 1790, at the publication of Journey from St. Petersburg to Moscow caused an uproar. He was arrested, sentenced to death before being exiled to Siberia. Tsar Paul allowed him to return. Alexander first pardoned him and appointed him to the Commission for Drafting New Laws. Radishev committed suicide in 1802. So Radishev, this is translated by Andrew Kahn and Irene Rothman, and this version is published by support of Real Russia Incorporated, Institute of Literary Translation, Russia, Columbia University Press, and copyright is 2020, excuse me. So that'd be a very interesting read. It's kind of short. It's only about 250 pages, and there's some notes in the back. The next book is a big one. It's it's published by Goloslov Publications, excuse me. Published support of the Institute of Literary Translation of Russia. It was first published in English by Goslav Publications in June 30th, 2020, and it's a pretty new book. This is called The Monastery by Zakhar Prilipin. Zakhar Prilipin. And he is a political activist. He's a journalist, political activist, starting in still life in Russia today. He started a political group and then abandoned that group, started a new one in which Steven Seagal, the actor, is a member of. I think it's called New Truth or The Truth, something like that. So, yeah, it's a political activist. And this one is is a little it's under 650 pages. And let me read the back of it to you. In the late 1920s, convicted of murdering his father, Artyom Gorinov is serving a sentence of several years on the Soliki archipelago. Founded in the 15th century, an archipelago on the White Sea from 1923, the monastery became a camp of special designation, the foundation stone of the Soviet Gulag system. This novel describes a period when Soliki was being converted from re-education camp for the social damaging elements into what eventually became a mass labor camp. The notion of a utopia for forging new human beings, complete with the library, athletic events, and research laboratories, eventually mutated into the hell of despotism and brutality. So that's the monastery. I'm also reading, and I almost forgot, I'm also reading the Four Gospels, a commentary on the Holy Scriptures in the New Testament. This is Volume 1. Volume 2 is the Acts of the Apostles. And this is by Archbishop Avercree. And he was a fourth abbot of the Holy Trinity Monastery in Jordanville, New York. He was born in Imperial Russia before the Bolshevik Revolution. And this book is widely used in seminaries, a standard textbook. And thus far, I read like there's small chapters, and right now I'm at the Adoration and the Magi. Sorry about that glare. And it's Matthew 2, 1 through 12. And this was when the three wise men visit Christ. And so he goes through each one, like the meeting of the Virgin Mary with Elizabeth, Luke 42:56. And so, yeah, you have the Synoptic Gospels with Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And one of them would tell more deep story than the other one will, like the manner of time and nativity of Christ, Luke 2, 7 through 19. And then you'll have the mystery of the incarnation revealed to Joseph, Matthew 1, 18 to 25. That's not shown in the other two Gospels, or the three Gospels, excuse me. So, yeah, you have that. And he goes in depth about what takes place here. And it brings out some new insights into the reading of the scriptures and in the Gospels. So that's it, Booktube. I thank you. Have a good weekend.